Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 151 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I love being in studio with you, man.
Studio. Do we have a name for the studio?
No. I thought about selling the naming rights.
Yeah.
I actually did, to be honest with you. I was going to put it on Patreon as this, like, top tier, and one person at a time could name the studio.
Well, that'd be cool.
But I never did it.
Of course, we reserve the right to deny certain.
I'm sure we might get some strange ones.
Yeah.
If we did that. So I know there were some problems with last week's episode on Stitcher specifically.
Yeah.
Apparently they did some maintenance that caused some issue, some podcast episodes to come out late. But they finally hit, and hopefully everybody's gotten a chance to listen to them. Gibbs, we have some new Patreon supporters. So let's go ahead and give our shout outs.
Sounds good.
We had AJ Bayanez.
Bayanez.
Nicole Burris.
What's going on, Nicole?
Charlotte Scott.
Hey, Charlotte.
Marty Short.
Hey, how's Martin doing? You know, Martin Short, Marty Short. We know it's kind of the same thing, Marty.
You know, that's why he goes by Marty.
Yeah.
Megan Collins.
Hey, Megan.
Amy Harrison Smith.
What's up, AHS?
Christine Samuelson.
Hey, Christine.
Venus Jackson.
Actually, Christine's all the way up in Norway.
All the way up?
Up and over.
I think over for sure. Maybe, up, yeah. But you're acting like she's in Canada.
Yeah, no, like up and way over. Yeah.
Venus Jackson.
Hey, Venus.
Hesper Stacy.
That's a Hesper.
Hesper.
It's like
it's different.
Something out of a James Bond movie or something.
Is it?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with you on it.
Yeah.
Tammy Cersei.
Hey, Tammy.
Crystal Always Smiling.
Man, what a beautiful smile.
Xena Kipkinda.
Hey, Xena.
Princess Warrior.
Yeah. Like 6'2". Yeah.
At least. She was tall. I don't know how tall she was. Or still is.
From the land of Princess Warriors. So,
pretty tall. Tiffany Weaver.
Hey, Tiffany.
Amy Marie Hall.
Hey, Amy.
Sarah Stivers.
What's going on, Stivers?
Bora Park.
I like that. Bora.
Jody T.
What's going on, Jody T?
Nancy and OKC.
Well, we always like the OKC.
Stephanie.
What's up, Stephanie?
Carrie Benner.
Hey, Carrie.
Rachel Smart.
Hey, thanks, Rachel.
And Kim Sharon Geivel.
Sharon Geivel?
Close enough.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
And then we go back into the vault, Gibbs. This week we selected Maine Fitz. Been with us a long time. We definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely. Love that.
The new support, the long-term support, it's all great. We had some great PayPal donations as well. Jessica Metz.
Hey, Jessica.
Daniel Javier.
Oh, Javier's back.
Janice Hubbard.
Hey, thanks, Janice.
And Kate Massey.
Kate Massey, always around.
Yep, so big thank you there. Gibbs, we have an episode out right now on True Crime All the Time that I think people are really going to like. It's on Shayna Hubers and the murder of Ryan Poston. This is kind of a Jodi Arias type case. It came about 4 years after Jodi Arias. But the reason I say that is because we have the 911 call. We have the interrogation video.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of strange things that come out of this audio. There's quite a bit of audio in this episode.
A lot of bizarre behavior.
There is on the part of Shayna Hubers.
Yeah.
And what's not in question is the fact that she shot and killed Ryan Poston. What is in question is why.
Yeah.
Was she jealous? Or, as she contends, was it an act of self-defense? But it's definitely a good episode. Make sure you check that out.
Probably be a very popular episode.
I believe it will be.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
I'm ready, man.
It was a beautiful morning on May 31st, 2000 in Bloomington, Indiana, when 19-year-old Jill Behrman woke up early that day. She wanted to go on a bicycle ride, and it was something that she did quite a bit.
I like a good bicycle ride now and then.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't have an outside bicycle. I have an indoor cycle.
You like to go on a good indoor bicycle ride.
I do. Yeah. And it's kind of cool because it's one of those screens where you can ride anywhere in the world and there's some guide that takes you. I enjoy it.
It's like you're actually there.
Kind of.
In the hills of Italy.
Yep. Without leaving the comfort of my home.
Yeah.
Which anything that I can do without leaving the comfort of my home, I enjoy.
I'm pretty sure if you could visit CrimeCon while you sat here some way, you would do it.
I would, but then I would miss the interaction.
Yeah.
With the folks. If it could be done somehow VR through Skype, virtual reality, I could shake hands. That would be awesome.
I'm still waiting for the whole teleport thing.
Okay. You keep waiting on that.
Yeah.
But back to Jill. She was excited that morning. She had just completed her freshman year at Indiana University.
That's a big moment to get that first year out of the way.
It is. It is. I have a daughter who's closing in on finishing out her first year. Jill had checked her email on her home computer and she logged off at 9:32 a.m. After that, she headed out for her bike ride. She left her house in the Bloomington area, but Jill never returned home that day. And she also failed to show up at work. Her shift was supposed to start at noon. She was only scheduled to work 3 hours from noon to 3 p.m., but her employer never received a phone call. And this was very strange, as it is in a lot of the unsolved cases that we covered.
Right.
It was strange for Jill not to make a call if she was not going to be at work. Now, after her shift, she had plans to meet her dad and grandparents to get something to eat, but she never showed up to that either. And I think that's really when panic started to set in with her family. She doesn't show up there. And then they find out that she never showed up to work either.
It's a problem.
It's a big problem. And I can imagine the type of panic that hits you. Her father reported her missing that day, and the police began their search efforts. The family very quickly on offered up a $25,000 reward for information on Jill's whereabouts. So Gibbs, I think we want to step back and take a minute to talk about Jill. Jill Kristen Behrman was born on September 17th, 1980 in Bloomington, Indiana to Eric and Marilyn Behrman. Jill was a beautiful, fun-loving, good-hearted, and extremely sweet person. She graduated with honors from Bloomington High School in June of 1999, earning an honors diploma. No doubt, Jill was very intelligent. She landed several academic scholarships. At the same time, she was a pretty good athlete as well.
Yeah. I think she had a lot of talents.
She was talented. She lettered in volleyball every year of high school.
That's impressive.
It is.
Yeah, 4 years of lettering.
And on top of that, every year she made the all-conference team. It's very impressive when you think about a freshman. She's not only playing varsity, she's starring.
Yeah.
She's making the all-conference team. She also participated in track, swimming, basketball, and softball. So, I mean, I think to say that she was an athlete is really almost somewhat of an understatement. She was an extremely talented athlete.
Yeah.
Jill also volunteered at her church and the hospital. So I think when you look at something like that, then you're getting into the area of this was a very well-rounded, grounded type of person.
Very outgoing.
Outgoing, but also, willing to give up what little free time she probably had to volunteer to help others. We talked about the fact that Jill was attending Indiana University. She worked at the Student Recreational Sports Center.
Shocker, right? I mean, She loves sports, so where else would she work?
Natural.
Yeah.
Like a natural fit for her. She loves cycling, volleyball, traveling, hiking, camping. I mean, pretty much any outdoor activity and / exercise that could go with it. Yeah. She was into it. She skied both snow and water. She swam. She lifted weights. Jill loved to read. She loved to listen to music and enjoyed spending time with her friends.
Very well-rounded.
On June 2nd, 2000, police learned of the whereabouts of Jill Behrman's bicycle. Her bike was found out on a country road just northwest of Bloomington, really just a few miles from where she was known to have typically rode her bike. Police were still in the process of searching for Jill. That search was very active. It had been bolstered by volunteers as well as some search dogs.
Yeah, I think the search dogs are probably heavily needed in something like this.
Well, volunteers are great.
Absolutely.
Right? The more people you have out looking and searching, the better. But what can people do? They can cover areas.
Right.
They can't do what a search dog can do. They can't take a scent and follow that scent.
Right.
That is a skill that we as humans just don't possess.
It's just an amazing skill.
As Jill's disappearance spread throughout the city of Bloomington and the surrounding areas, the police started to get in some tips. They started to develop some leads. A report came in from a witness saying that they had seen Jill south of Bloomington at 4700 Harrell Road at 9:38 a.m. on the day that she disappeared. There was a problem, however, with this report. We already talked about it. Police knew by going through the records that she had logged off from her computer, from her email at 9:32.
Yeah, which means that she would never get to that location because it was at least a 15-minute bike ride.
Pretty tough to make a 15-minute bike ride in 6 minutes.
You might be able to do it because I know you have that skill now with your training that you do.
Or Lance Armstrong.
Or Lance Armstrong.
Back in the day.
Yeah, with his enhanced abilities.
Exactly. But I think to police, the timing of this was so far off that they just believe there's no way she could have possibly been there. It couldn't have been her.
On top of that, the search dog didn't even pick up her scent in that area.
Another report came in, and this report was from a witness who said they saw a young woman who looked like Jill riding her bike. This witness said they spotted her on North Maple Grove Road, north of Bloomington, around 10 a.m. the morning she went missing. Now, police found this lead much more credible, right? They were not able to discredit it. And in fact, they were able to confirm that Jill had been in that area. A search dog picked up her scent, and that's how they knew. There was a third report that came in from a witness that said they saw a white commercial van near North Maple Grove Road around 8:30 on the morning that Jill went missing. This witness claimed that this was a Ford van that had two men inside. The same witness said that they saw the van again at 9 a.m. and they told police that they thought it was possible it was a Bloomington hospital van. Now, 8:30, 9 o'clock, those times probably don't mean anything to police because they know Jill's not out
Right.
at that point in time. The reason why we're bringing this up is because it does come into play later in the story.
Yes.
Now, later on, another report came in, and this was from a witness who said that just before noon, on the day that Jill went missing, they saw a bike laying off the east side of North Maple Grove Road near the intersection of North and West Maple Grove Roads. This same witness said that they noticed that the trailer home at 1465 West Maple Grove Road that belonged to John Myers II, this was about a mile up the road from where the bike was seen, had all the blinds closed that day. And the witness was very adamant, somehow knowing that this was something that the owner Never did. Never closed their blinds.
Which is strange.
Well, it means either somebody's paying very close attention to their neighbors. They're being very observant.
Kind of freaky.
Now, I will say, my grandfather, when he was alive, he was one of those individuals. He loved to stand in his window just to see what was going on in the neighborhood.
Okay.
I don't know if he was bored. He was just very curious. He loved it.
But he knew the inventory, right?
He knew the comings and goings of everyone. He knew what time people put their trash out. Yeah. Now, he didn't keep a log. He wasn't Serpico, but it was just something that he enjoyed.
Right.
Like a detective almost. He was looking for something out of order.
Well, that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, it was kind of a hobby of his.
Yeah.
So on top of the blinds being closed on all the windows, the witness said that John Meyer's car was parked in a spot on his lot that was atypical from where he normally parked it. Again, this is a very, either you could use the word nosy or observant.
Extremely observant.
One is euphemistic. The other is a little bit derogatory.
Right.
The witness said that a few days after he noticed that the car was parked in a strange spot, he actually asked John about it. He wanted to make sure that everything was okay. This witness claimed that John told him he wanted to be left alone, and this is why he parked his car in a secluded spot about 50 yards from his house.
Well, that's pretty far away. It's like half a football field, right?
Yeah, it is about half a football field.
Yeah.
So Gibbs, police decided that they wanted to question this John Myers II. They wanted to see if he knew anything about the disappearance of Jill Behrman. Police learned that John worked at the Bloomington hospital warehouse. They also learned that he sometimes drove a white Ford van. He told police that he was on vacation from May 29th to June 2nd. But he added that he was home for the majority of this vacation. He was hoping to go to Kings Island, which is just down the road from us.
Right.
It's where you and I probably spent most of our childhood.
Spent a lot of time there.
It's a 25 minute ride. It's a great amusement park.
That's amazing.
The Brady Bunch went there in an episode.
Oh, yeah, with the tiki dolls.
Yeah, if you remember that. He was also hoping to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with his girlfriend. But his girlfriend, Carly Goodman, canceled those plans a few days before they were set to go for a good reason. They broke up.
Yeah.
Normally, when two people break up, they're not about to go on vacation with each other.
That's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's not a recipe for a really good time.
Yeah. Let's get in the car together and drive to South Carolina for 12 hours and, not good.
And then we'll walk on the beach.
Yeah.
But I still hate you and you hate me.
That's right.
But damn it, we're going on this South Carolina Myrtle Beach vacation.
I'm not losing my deposit.
I've already paid for it. You are going to walk on the beach with me.
That's right.
The police had John's phone records and they asked him about some phone calls made from his trailer on the day of Jill's disappearance. These calls were made at 9:15 a.m., 9:17 a.m., 9:18, 10:37, 10:45, and then later at 6:48 p.m.
It's a lot of calls.
Well, it's a lot of calls, but it's very specific times. And if you look at the first three, very close together.
Yeah.
That's 3 calls in a span of 3 minutes. John told police that he didn't make them. His mom made those calls. The calls were to some state parks, to some drive-in theaters. What John told police was that he was depressed. Now remember, his girlfriend had just broken up with him. It's a reason for guys to get depressed.
Sure.
And he wanted to go do something to take his mind off of the breakup. His mom was trying to make calls to figure out what options he had to go do something.
Doing what moms do.
Moms help out. Yeah. That's what they do. Police then went and questioned his ex-girlfriend, Carly Goodman. And she told them that she was John's girlfriend from October of 1999 till the end of May 2000, which adds up to what John told police. The problem comes in when she told police that they never had any travel plan. They weren't talking about going to Kings Island. They weren't talking about walking barefoot on Myrtle Beach. So now police have issues. Part of his story checks out. A big part of it does not.
And of all things to lie about, why even lie about that?
Yeah, there's really no reason.
No.
Because of the timing when everything took place, the fact that you planned to go but didn't go, it's not like it gives you an alibi.
No,
the fact that you planned to go. So they got to go back and talk to John again, right? They got to straighten this out. And they did so on June 5th. Police went back to question John again. He told police that he heard a girl had been abducted on the morning of May 31st. He also told them that he told a friend he was worried that people would think it was him because her bike was found just up the road from his place. And on top of that, he said, everybody blames me for the bad things that happened.
Something goes bad in this town, people automatically think I did it.
John apparently also made another interesting statement to police. Gibbs, he told them that he knew that they had not yet located Jill's body and said, by now she's probably dead.
So, interesting statement to make to police.
It's an interesting statement unless your goal is to pique the interest of police, basically waving your arm saying, hey, I'm saying some strange things.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and put me on your radar and put me at the top of your list? Why would you even utter the words?
I mean, they already found the bicycle just within a mile of your home.
And now you're theorizing that this young woman who has yet to be found is most likely dead.
Yeah. And you've lied to them already.
That's true.
So
it's not looking good. They don't have any evidence that this guy is involved in any way yet, but they have to be extremely suspicious.
He's definitely going to be a person of interest right now.
Well, and he's a self-made person of interest to a degree. I mean, we talked about it through his own words.
He's made himself suspicious.
Yeah, no doubt. On June 6th, the FBI joined the search for Jill Behrman. They also joined in the questioning of suspects. It was on June 27th that police, together along with the FBI, interviewed John Myers' grandmother. And she told them that the day before the police first interviewed her grandson, he called her and asked to borrow some money, asked her if she could bring it to him because the police had roadblocks set up on his road and he didn't want to leave his house because he was a suspect in Jill's disappearance.
It's a strange thing to say.
It's a very strange thing to say when you haven't even talked to police yet.
Yeah. You're not on their radar.
No, because you haven't said the strange things to them that would ultimately make them suspicious. Early the next month, Jill Behrman is still missing. FBI went and questioned John Myers' dad, John Myers Sr. And the one thing they noted during their questioning was that he was very nervous.
Extremely nervous.
During the interview. But other than that, he didn't say anything that they thought was suspicious. They thought it was a pretty clean interview. They didn't glean anything from it.
Right.
They just thought, man, for some reason, this guy's acting very nervous. Now, Gibbs, some people just get nervous talking to police.
Yeah, like me.
Some people get nervous when a police car is behind them and they're not even doing anything wrong.
Yeah, like me.
Well, you have reasons to be nervous. That's a totally different thing.
Oh, being the body in the trunk?
There's skeletons in your closet, sometimes in your car.
Yeah, always in the car. Just got to find them.
My daughter, my oldest, when she was first driving, anytime a police car would get behind her, she would want to put on her brakes as if to stop everything.
Right.
So that this police will go away.
Yeah.
And, I would be in the passenger seat going, what are you doing? You can't brake check the police.
Right.
You're going to cause the police to run into you.
You're doing the exact opposite of what you're trying to accomplish.
You're acting very suspicious.
Yeah.
The next month in August, authorities questioned John's brother Samuel. And Samuel had something interesting to tell them. He said that his 12-gauge shotgun was missing. And apparently he kept this 12-gauge at his dad's house and had done so since 1997 with no issues. All of a sudden it went missing. So Gibbs, I think it's pretty safe to say that from this point, and maybe even earlier, investigators locked in on John Myers.
Yeah.
They thought he was strange. He had said a lot of things that were suspicious. They went to his work. They questioned his boss. They questioned some of his coworkers. John's boss told authorities that John had told him he was a suspect in Jill's disappearance because her bike was found on the road near his trailer. What is it with people going around telling family and friends and coworkers that they're a suspect when at the time they're not?
Yeah, I don't know what that benefits. I mean, is it some type of excitement? Like, hey, I'm probably a suspect in this case,
The strange thing is, I don't think it's that unusual. We've heard it in other cases, and I do think you're somewhat on the right track, right? There's an element of danger. There's an element of making people think you're interesting, maybe when you're not. I don't know why all the reasons people would have for doing it, but it happens quite a bit.
Probably for attention.
Yeah. Probably bottom line, if you had to bottom line it, you'd say these are people that are seeking attention, even though this is not great attention.
No, it's not the type of attention you want.
Not that most people want.
Yeah.
And Gibbs, it's not hard for police to figure out from the date that John's boss gave to them that he had this conversation with John. It was before they even went and talked to John. Again, you're adding to the strangeness.
Very strange.
This is early on. The police haven't even come to question you, and you're walking around telling people that you're a suspect in a disappearance case. One of his coworkers told investigators that John brought up to them that he wondered if the police would eventually search a barn out on Bottom Road. Sounds pretty random.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's probably the news of the town, clearly.
Oh, I'm sure this was a big news story.
So I can see people sitting around going, if they don't find her, wonder where she's at. Oh, how about that big old barn out on, just sitting out there all by itself? Maybe something like that.
But it seems so specific.
Well, especially
to single out this one barn on this one road.
Especially if you just was telling your boss
that you're a suspect.
I might be a suspect in this.
The coworker also said that John told him that he thought Jill was abducted where the bicycle was found.
Again, pretty specific.
It is. This guy had more to say, though. He said that John told him he knew the perfect spot to get rid of a body. So basically, this guy is stacking bizarre statements on top of bizarre statements. And it's not like he's just talking to one person. He's talking to a whole bunch of people.
He's got, what do you call that? Diarrhea of the mouth. Yeah. There's no cure for that.
There's no cure either. But apparently, this same coworker said that John told them that he knew someone in Florida who had Jill's IDs and banking checkbook. Now we're getting very specific.
Yeah.
And you're getting into the area of how would you know that unless you're involved in this case in some way. The other stuff is kind of hinky. It's suspicious. This type of statement, you're really getting into the area of, I know more about this than I should.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about photo IDs and checkbooks.
It's August 2000. Police and FBI have questioned a number of people, right? They're running down leads. They still have no idea where Jill is, and they're running out of leads to help find her. John's definitely a person of interest at this point, based on everything that the authorities have learned.
Yeah, mostly coming from his mouth.
Yeah. He wasn't being real secretive. He wasn't keeping things close to the vest. Police and FBI kept searching different areas, kept looking into leads. The reward went from $25,000 to $50,000 for information leading to finding Jill Behrman. On November 10th, 2000, Jill's story was featured on the Fox show $1 Million Mysteries. This prompted about 50 calls to authorities, but really resulted in no solid lead.
Disappointing for the family.
I'm sure it was, because I think from the perspective of the family, when you hear that a show is going to do an episode,
right,
they're going to get this information out to a much wider audience, you have to be hopeful.
Yeah.
That, okay, this is it. This is going to lead to the tip that we need to find our daughter, our sister. That's what's going to happen.
And you think, 50 callers, that maybe one or two might be really solid.
Fruitful. Yeah. Something's going to come from them, but they didn't. On April 18th, 2001, the police and the FBI, they put a theory out to the public that they thought Jill may have been the victim of a hit and run. Then whoever hit Jill came back, hid her body, and dumped the bike. This is the theory that they floated out to the public. Now, I don't know what evidence they had, Gibbs, to support that theory. It's plausible.
Sure.
But I don't know what they had that made them think this was more likely than something else.
Yeah, maybe they were hoping somebody came forward and said, you know what?
I did hit something.
Yeah.
Or
I remember seeing somebody's car all scratched up on the front end or back, whatever.
In May 2001, the reward went up to $100,000. And it was really not long after this that John Myers came back in the picture, because he goes to the FBI to tell them that he found a pair of women's underwear in a creek while he was fishing. He also said he found a small piece of bone.
Yeah. Now it seems like he might be injecting himself into this case.
Yeah. He is no longer talking. Now he is saying, hey, I found something.
Yeah.
So you're right. He's injecting himself into the case, as opposed to what he was doing earlier, which was just running his mouth, making him look extremely suspicious.
Right.
So, Gibbs, police are looking at John Myers. They probably questioned him who knows how many times. At some point, they were probably hoping that he was going to open up and confess.
Sure.
To his involvement in the disappearance of Jill Behrman. In early 2002, police got a confession, but it didn't come from John Myers.
No.
It came from a woman named Wendy Owings. Owings told police that she and two friends, Alicia Evans and Uriah Klaus, killed Jill Behrman. Wendy said that Uriah was driving and he hit Jill with the car. And then all three of them got out of the car and stabbed Jill in the chest several times.
Sounds like one of those really bad movies. When they're driving down the street, they hit somebody, they know they can't save the person, but they don't want to call the police. So to make them all guilty, they all take part in.
Yeah, it sounds like something from one of those I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes.
Wendy said they then wrapped Jill in some plastic sheets and they tied that up with bungee cord. Then they dumped her body in Salt Creek. All right, Gibbs, we have a confession.
Yeah.
We're about ready to wrap this case up.
Getting there.
Police go out to search the creek, and they actually did find some interesting items. They dammed the creek and they drained, the search area. They found a knife. They found some bungee cords, and they found plastic sheets. Seems to go along with what this woman, Wendy Owings, said happened.
Pretty convincing.
When they confronted her, she recanted her confession. So police go on. They try to find Wendy's two friends that she implicated. They found Uriah Klaus. He was sitting in the Brown County Jail serving time for battery. He told police that he had nothing to do with her disappearance, and he had no idea who might have done anything to her or what happened to her. Basically, I don't know nothing about it.
I don't know why Wendy told you anything like that.
Police couldn't even locate Alicia Evans. All right, so I'm stumped here. Why does a woman confess to a crime, implicate two of her friends, only to later recant?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's believable.
It's especially believable after police find the knife, bungee cords, and the plastic sheets that kind of back up exactly what she said. Now, did she come to her senses and say, what in the hell have I just done?
Right.
Why am I confessing to something that is going to put me away forever?
Or do I want some attention? Let me grab a knife, some bungee cord, some plastic. I'm going to throw it into this creek here. Then I'm going to tell the police a little story, and I'm going to get me some attention. And then she go, oh, this is bad. This is not the type of attention I want.
I'm starting to think a lot of people in this area are strange. And I'm not casting a bad light on the Bloomington, Indiana area, but there's some strange individuals in this story. Let's put it that way.
We don't want to get you banned from Indiana.
No.
It's too close.
It's too close. I might want to go see an IU game.
Yeah.
I have friends that are IU fans. But this is the part of the story where John Myers works his way back in. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm chuckling when I talk about this guy. Up to this point, he's been pretty strange, though.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. On March 27, 2002, John was serving some time in the Monroe County Jail on charges unrelated, not having nothing to do with the disappearance of Jill Behrman.
Yeah, I think it was theft.
He approached a correctional officer and told him that he found some letters while he was cleaning some food trays. He told the guard that the notes were related to the Jill Behrman case.
How lucky for him that he was the one that found those.
Out of all the inmates.
Yeah. Wow.
Out of all the people that are cleaning, I don't know how many different people are cleaning the trays,
but still.
Somebody happened to leave it on a tray for him. He also told the guard that he felt bad for what had happened to the young lady, and he wished he could help find her. John took it a step further, and he handed over a list of possible sites where he thought the body could be found if they would let him out to go searching for Jill.
Let me help you. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
I'll show you where I think if
I can be very helpful.
Somebody would want to do something with the body, where they would take it.
So police take a look at this. They take a look at his list. Obviously, they're interested in the sites that he put down. And of course, they're going to go check these sites out, but they don't find anything. So again, what is going on with John Myers?
Yeah, I don't know if is he kind of playing a little bit of a cat and mouse game too?
He could be. Well, again, you said wanting attention.
Yeah.
Right? I think that real killers, people that we know have actually killed people, when they contact police and they're playing that cat and mouse game, what else could they want? They want the attention. They want to see their name in the paper. They want all of that. Now, he could have also been working the angle of trying to get out of jail.
Sure.
Hey, let me out and I'll help you.
Or maybe he was just really being super sincere.
Maybe he was being helpful.
Maybe I'm here for you.
A year goes by, and it was on March 9th, 2003 that a local hunter was walking through some woods near the intersection of Worthen and Duckworth roads in Morgan County. The hunter found what he thought appeared to be human bones. So he called it in. Investigators come out. They recovered about half of a human skeleton. The other half was missing. When they examined the bones, police didn't find any evidence that this person had been stabbed or beaten. So, from that, Gibbs, I'm assuming that they're looking for fractures.
Right.
They're looking for the marks that a blade would make on a bone. The investigators did find a shotgun shell wad at the site where the bones were found. They also found 380 number 8 shot lead pellets. This most likely came from a 12 gauge shotgun. It was on March 13th that police made the announcement that the bones they found belonged to Jill Behrman. They also said that her cause of death was determined to be a shotgun blast to the back of her head. And Gibbs, apparently the way that they made this determination was that they found some skull fragments mixed in with the pellets, and they were able to test the soil where the half skeleton was found, and they determined that this was the spot where Jill's body decomposed from soil samples.
So clearly that's the murder site, right? She wasn't killed somewhere else and then brought there because of the fact that they did find the pellets and the skull fragments mixed together.
Yeah, I think based on all of that evidence, they could determine that Jill Behrman was shot and killed in that spot.
Yeah.
Her body was left to decompose. Now, where the rest of her skeleton went, you have that in a lot of cases. There are scavenger animals that will take parts of bodies to other places. It happens.
Now, one thing they don't know is what happened to her clothes, because there was no clothes found on the site. So either she was nude prior to being shot, or the killer removed her clothes after she was shot and took them.
So this is it, Gibbs. Police and FBI now have a homicide investigation. They believe they know what happened to Jill Behrman. The outcome wasn't what anybody had hoped it would be.
No.
They had to have thought by this point in time, with a number of years having gone by, that the outcome probably was not going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were just hoping that they would probably get a recovery.
But it doesn't keep the authorities and the family from holding out hope. Now that hope is gone. Right? They know what happened to Jill. Now we have to move forward.
Yeah.
Into a homicide investigation. What the family and authorities have to hope for now is that they can solve the case and get justice for Jill and put behind bars whoever murdered her. But when this news broke that they discovered the body of Jill Behrman and they found out that she was murdered, it was huge news. I mean, this shocked the community of Bloomington and the surrounding areas. One thing that this media circus, I'll call it that, did was it caused one of John Meyer's coworkers to have the light bulb go off in his head. He had spoken to investigators, right? He was one of these coworkers that had talked to investigators years earlier.
Sure.
He called, reached out to one of the investigators that he had spoken to back then, and he told them that he learned that the body had been found, that Jill had been killed, but he also learned where. He learned the location where the body had been found, and he told police that John Myers told him that he used to hunt in that area.
Very specific.
Very.
But everything John says
is both specific and suspicious at the same time.
Yeah. It's like he's doing a dance.
That's kind of it's been his MO. This guy went on to tell police that John told him he was surprised that police had not visited him yet. because according to John, he knew who had killed Jill Behrman.
Yeah.
It was Wendy Owings, Uriah Klaus, and Alicia Evans. Again, something else very suspicious that police learn about John Myers. Now, they learn it from one of his coworkers. They're not hearing it directly from John. You would think at the very least they would want to go interview John again. They may have. The problem is we couldn't find any record of another interview at that time. On April 10th, 2003, Uriah Klaus was released from prison from his previous charges. Police definitely did go interview him again, but nothing came from it. In May of 2003, Jill Behrman's family hold a celebration of her life. 3 years has gone by.
Yeah. Of hoping, wishing that she would come home.
And not knowing. Now they know.
Yeah.
So they are able to kind of move forward with things that would normally happen, after a loved one dies. Yeah. Up until that point, you're just holding out hope. You're not going through any of the normal things that people would do because they don't believe she's dead, or they don't know that for a fact. Now they do. On December 16th, 2004, this is about 18 months after Jill was found to have been murdered, police arrested a man named Kerry Silvers. Silvers happened to be the cellmate of Uriah Klaus. Kerry was on the run for another charge. They found him in Mexico and they extradited him back to Indiana. They questioned him about the death of Jill Behrman. And specifically, they wanted to know what Uriah Klaus had said to him about Jill over the years.
Yeah, they really thought there was going to be something there. This was a big moment. They thought, we're going to get this guy. We feel like there's something not being said.
And I can get where they're coming from, right? Two cellies spending quite a bit of time together. What else do you have to do but talk, read, play games?
Sure.
Maybe watch a little TV. But I think above all else, you're talking a lot.
Yeah.
So chances are that somebody might disclose something that they've done in the past.
Yeah, because people like to talk.
They do like to talk. We know that. But apparently Uriah didn't, or if he did, Kerry didn't give him up.
So either Uriah didn't say anything or he just didn't want to be a snitch.
But I think you're right. I mean, I think those are the two options. So we talked about police interviewing John Myers. They've talked to him a number of times. We know that they went back to interview him again on May 2nd, 2005. And they're asking him about previous statements that he's made to other people, right? They're asking him about the roadblocks, the day that Jill went missing. Did he tell people that he was afraid because he was a suspect? He denied ever saying this. He also denied having talked to anyone about Jill's disappearance back then besides the police. Okay, this is a lot of denials. It's also strange that you have a large number of people saying that he has told them very specific things. So now we're into either there's a conspiracy against John Myers and a bunch of people are involved. Hey, we're going to say he said this, this, and this, or John may not be telling the truth.
Definitely an issue with credibility somewhere along the line.
And if you have to pick a side, which side would you pick?
Right.
Who's got the history of apparently saying things that are very strange? That's John Myers. Weeks after this interview, John was back in jail on some unrelated charges. His cellmate reached out to investigators and told them that John told him police were looking at him for the murder of Jill Behrman because her bike was found near his trailer. Again, he's not talking to anyone
but the police.
Yet everybody he comes into contact with says that he keeps telling them that he's a suspect.
Because the bike was found it's the same circulating story.
Yeah. Which gives it credibility, right? Does this cellmate know John's coworker and they've gotten together and said, here's the story.
Right.
Make sure you stick to this one.
Yeah, don't alter it. Stay true to it.
There's no logic in that. According to this cellmate, John kept referring to police finding the bike near his trailer, and he was getting mad. And apparently he said that if that bitch wouldn't have said anything, none of this would have happened. And when he used that word, he was apparently talking about Jill.
It's an interesting statement. So what did she say? Did she say something to him and that threw him off into some... It's just a very vague statement to make.
Yeah, because it could mean a lot of different things. It could mean that she said something that got her killed and John had something to do with it, or he didn't have anything to do with it, but he knew about it.
Right.
And he knew who did it and why they did it. On June 1st, 2005, police made an announcement that they were close to making an arrest in Jill's murder case. Gives 5 years.
Yeah.
After her disappearance and murder. But police don't take their case in front of a grand jury until March of the next year, 2006. The grand jury found enough evidence, enough cause to proceed with charging John Myers with the murder of Jill Behrman, and police arrested him. On April 9th, 2006, John Myers was 30 years old at the time of his arrest. He was indicted on a charge of murder. On April 11th, he was led into the Morgan County Courthouse for his initial hearing on the charges of murdering Jill Behrman. His trial was set to begin in July of that year, but it got postponed. The jury was selected in October of 2006. The trial began on October 16th, and it lasted for 12 days.
Fairly quick.
Yeah, it's not a long trial. I mean, really, if you think about it, outside of the really famous, the OJs and some of these really famous trials,
right?
Most trials don't last that long. Some a week, some a couple of weeks. There's really just not that much to go over.
Right. Because you're in there all day.
In most cases.
Yeah.
Now, you get some of these big media circus trials and they seem to last forever.
If you have a lot of witnesses coming in, it's going to take some time.
Gibbs, the problem we ran into with this case is there just really isn't that much detail out there about the trial itself. But in the end, the jury convicted John Myers of the murder of Jill Behrman, and he was ultimately sentenced to 65 years in prison.
Yeah. Wait a minute. This is an unsolved case.
It is. It means something's going to go wrong.
Oh, okay.
After his conviction, as often happens, right, the appeals start. And the basis for John's appeal, as happens quite frequently, was that he was not adequately represented by counsel at trial. John made a claim that his defense team was negligent in representing him, and he filed his own appeal. He noted in the appeal that his counsel fell well below the standard of reasonableness, and they committed a number of serious errors. He said they failed to object to incorrect and non-factual information. One claim that was made at trial was that John raped Jill Behrman before he shot her in the head with the shotgun. Apparently, his counsel never challenged the prosecution on this.
That's a problem. You know, when someone's making that charge against you and your own counsel doesn't object.
His counsel also didn't challenge the prosecution when the prosecution read to the jury statements that he made in his police interviews. The problem is they didn't read the whole statement. Apparently, they only read the parts that made John look guilty.
Yeah.
And they left out any of the parts of the interview where he said, I didn't do this, I had no involvement. And his counsel just let it go.
Yeah, they didn't object. They didn't say, let's read the rest of it. None of that.
It's a pretty serious violation.
Yeah.
Right, of your duty to your client to do that. John also made a claim that a lot of the testimony in his trial should not have been admissible, but his counsel didn't object to any of it. Again, I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were reading Marmaduke,
something,
doing a crossword puzzle. I don't know. John claimed that his counsel was not prepared. They gave an ineffective opening statement, didn't set the stage for what they knew the prosecution was going to attempt to claim John did. He had a similar issue with their closing statement.
Those are pretty critical parts of your defense, right? Coming out of the gate.
You got to set the stage.
Yeah. And you got to set it better than the other team.
You also have to close.
Yeah. I think a case could be won or lost depending on how good is your closing statement. Because at that point, it's your job to, as a defense attorney, make the jury remember all the key things throughout that time period.
That you want.
That you want them to go back in that room and keep this in mind.
And try to cast doubt on all of the key points of the prosecution.
Yeah. Instead of saying, well, that's the case, guys. I hope you know that my client didn't do it. And we'll see you here in a few hours.
I got a tea time.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how bad they were. This is what John is claiming. He basically, Gibbs, felt that, they really didn't do anything to help him. They didn't point out, incorrect statements, false claims of evidence, but it didn't work. In May 2008, the Indiana Court of Appeals upheld his conviction.
Got to be disappointing.
Well, I'm sure it is.
For him.
The next year, another appeal was filed, but this time John didn't file it himself. He had counsel file it on his behalf. It took 5 years.
It's a long time.
For the court to set up an evidentiary hearing. It was May of 2013 when the post-conviction court set an evidentiary hearing, and they denied John's appeal in November of that year. So his counsel doesn't stop, though. They go on to appeal to the federal courts. It took 6 years for that appeal to be heard. We've talked about this on a number of episodes. It takes a long time for the wheels to turn in the criminal justice system. But I will say this, it seems to me that it takes a very long time for the appeals process to work its way through the system.
Well, and I'm guessing almost everybody appeals.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah.
There are a lot of appeals to be heard.
Right.
And, some courts have the ability to hear a case if they want.
Yeah.
Or not take it.
Not take it, send it back down to the lower level, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was on September 30th, 2019. This is what? Not even 5 months ago?
Yeah. 4
months ago, basically. 4.5 months ago?
Pretty fresh.
After reviewing a 147-page appeal doc, that U.S. District Judge James Sweeney stated that John Myers' attorneys absolutely, without question, provided ineffective assistance to John, their client. The judge also cited a disciplinary hearing with the state Supreme Court where John's original attorneys admitted to making false statements to the jury during their opening statement in his trial. The judge went on to say that John's attorneys failed to object to testimony that John had raped Jill before she was killed, knowing full well that there was no evidence to support the testimony, the statements.
Yeah.
It just wasn't there.
And that's huge for me, I think. This is not a hard thing to object to. You're sitting there, you hear it.
I think you could do it with no legal training whatsoever.
And on my phone.
While playing a game on your phone.
Yes.
In the end, the judge ruled that his counsel violated John's Sixth Amendment rights. So the judge vacated the murder conviction against John Myers. This would lead to John's release unless the state decided to retry him within 120 days. The Indiana Attorney General's office came out and said that it respectfully disagreed with the judge's decision, and they vowed to, quote, vigorously pursue justice. The Morgan County prosecutor released a statement about the ruling. He said, I've been in contact with the victims' parents, Eric and Marilyn Behrman, as well as the lead investigator. Needless to say, we are all disappointed with this outcome, as we all believed that after 13 years, the jury's guilty verdict was final. The state ultimately decided to file an appeal to this decision in late October 2019. On January 8th, 2020, the Indiana Attorney General asked the judge to delay Myers' release by 60 days, or at least until the appeal is concluded. And they gave some pretty good reasons for asking for this 60-day extension. I mean, I think most importantly, it would allow for the appeal to run its course, and then they would know, right? If the appeal is successful, they don't have to go through a retrial.
Right.
Which nobody wants to have to do.
Exactly.
Except for maybe John Myers.
Yeah, maybe him.
Well, he'd probably rather them just say, you know what, we're not going to retry you. They're not going to do that. There's no way. But I think, this is an interesting case, Gibbs, because you have a guy in John Myers who, over the years, has made a number of very suspicious statements.
Yeah.
To various people. We detailed a lot of them. Police finally get to the point where they're confident in charging him with the murder of Jill Behrman. I don't think there's any doubt that his counsel was ineffective. I think that was proven out, but this is a case that is fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, we are still in this extension period. We don't know what's going to happen with the appeal. My assumption is that if the state loses their appeal, they will retry John Myers.
I think so too.
I don't think there's any way they're not going to. They got a conviction already. Now, they're probably going to have to change some things up, because it sounds like a good defense attorney can probably negate some of their testimony. Now, how much, I don't know.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we just no way to know, but so bizarre that the prosecution did everything to get the conviction. Now,
it doesn't sound like they may have done everything by the book, though.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but is it one of those things where, hey, if nobody's going to call me on it,
yeah,
I'm just going to put it through. It's up to you as the defense to call me.
Yeah, and say that's not true or that's not how it happened.
Right. It's like playing Scrabble, right? If I play Quone,
right,
like Kramer did in Seinfeld, to quone, if somebody gets an infection, you quone them.
You quone them, for sure.
If you don't challenge me,
yeah,
I get a lot of points, I win the game. Now, Is it ethical? It doesn't sound like it to me, but I'm not an attorney, so.
But do you sit there as the prosecutor and go, man, I mean, I'm liking that I'm winning this, but I'm also worried because these guys aren't objecting to things they should be objecting. Is this going to come back and haunt me?
Yeah, but what can they do? They can't go to the defense and say, hey, you guys need to object to some of this stuff I'm trying to get through.
I know.
They can't do anything.
Yeah.
The problem is going to be that at a retrial, they're probably not going to have any additional evidence unless they've come up with something.
Right.
The defense is going to have the advantage. They're going to know pretty much everything that the prosecution is going to lay out.
Sure.
They're definitely going to know what they should object to if it comes back around, because a judge has already said,
right,
hey, the original counsel should have objected to this, and this.
Right.
A new defense attorney is not going to make that mistake. No way.
They have that outline on their table right there.
So, I mean, this is just one of those cases where we're going to have to wait and see a little bit.
Yeah.
And, we will update people as we find out. But that's it, Gibbs. That's it for the right now, currently unsolved case of Jill Behrman.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will change sometime in the near future. Again, I don't know if this guy did it.
It's a weird case because you got him doing all the things that he did.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got this Wendy that said, hey, I was in a car with two other people. We hit her. Then we stabbed her. Then we threw her body in here. Pretty specific. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Yeah. No, the whole case is bizarre. All right, buddy, we got some voicemails. You want to hear those?
Let's hear.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Gibby. Hey, my name's Kevin from St. Louis, Missouri. Just finished the final episode of the True Crime All the Time. I used to listen to the Unsolved, but I hated the cliffhangers of wondering what happened and whatnot. But so I'm a painter and listen to your guys' podcast every single day painting. Now I guess I'm gonna have to go to the Unsolved because love listening to you guys. I'm both Team Gibby and Team Mike. Can't ever choose one of you two. You both have great banter. Love Gibby's not knowing how to pronounce a name. Kind of cracks me up. And then his unforgettable accents completely from the wrong countries. But always makes me laugh. Makes my day go by fast. And definitely appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe and keep your own time ticking. Thanks, guys.
I don't know what it is I'm talking about. My Australian accent is spot on.
Hey, if we can make somebody's day go faster at work, we're doing something.
That's what we're doing, man.
Because some of those days drag on.
Man, do they ever. Remember, I still have that day job.
Oh, that's right. You do.
Thanks.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. My name is Jackie. I also won't tell you where I'm from because I'd like to see if you can guess my location as well. Gibby, you guessed that Sandra on the Martha Moxley case, you put her voicemail at the end. You said Edmonton, Canada was her location. I'm going to say wrong. I'm guessing California. Love your podcast. I've been binging all three podcasts. The Mike series, True Crime All the Time, Unsolved, The Regular, and the Criminology. Hooked on you guys, and I'm finally caught up, which is kind of sad because now I don't get to binge you anymore. But anyway, look forward to your podcast every week, and stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
As she says from her home up in Washington.
Is that what you're going?
Yeah.
Washington?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go Oregon, and we'll see.
All right.
We're probably not even close.
Kind of like saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like The Price is Right. I'm just going like one number below you.
Hi guys, this is Cecilia from Wisconsin. Just calling in a suggestion for Unsolved. It's a case for Amos moved here. He disappeared back in 2004, and there's apparently no clues as to what happened. Some people think that he was kidnapped and murdered. Other people think that he just up and left on his own and he just has a new identity and is just living his life somewhere out there, but nobody knows what happened to him. So I don't think I've ever heard any other podcasts do an episode on him. So I was wondering if maybe you guys would like to do it and see if you guys could do your own take on it. So that's it. Thanks. Bye.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to check that out. Gibbs, I think she's from Wisconsin.
I was going to say Wisconsin for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm placing the accent, Wisconsin.
Yeah. I could feel the cheese.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. It's Amber Scott in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was calling to let you know that the magnets from Decapolis, Tulsa, came from me. It was just a small little token to tell you guys thank you for keeping me going and keeping my sense of humor while I've been going through a divorce. I appreciate you both. I appreciate having old friends now after so long to listen to and to laugh with while I've been kind of learning how to live again on my own. I hope everything is well with you both, and stay safe and keep your own time ticking. Bye.
Gibbs, I think that was the last of our mysteries cleared up.
Finally, we know.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amber. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah, we do.
And we're glad that we can help in any small way.
Yeah.
We always are.
Netflix helps a lot, by the way.
Netflix.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. So that is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.